And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your hosts of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred and Janet Cox.
And hello and good afternoon, PM, and we are in a very cold state here in Toronto. I hope that our friends on the southern side of Ontario out in Buffalo, I wish them all the best. I heard they had a ton of snow, 6 feet of snow dumped on them. If you're in the Buffalo area and you're listening to us, I hope that you're staying warm.
And there's more on the way, apparently.
And I heard that there's more on the way. Well, you know what? Good luck.
Actually, our son, Kofi, I think sometimes he wishes he lived in some place like that. He's always thinking, oh my God, Toronto always misses the big snowfalls, right?
Yeah.
So
anyway, it's Sunday afternoon, November the 20th, 5:30 p.m. This is the Liquid Green Health Show. To our listeners in Toronto, across Canada, the United States, and around the world, we want to thank you. Thank you for allowing us into your private space. Welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show. Today's show is sponsored by Liquid Green Products, producers of eco-superior green cleaning products for your home, office, car, and of course your pets. Pay us a visit at liquidgreenproducts.com and make your choice on any product that you'd like to have in terms of cleaning.
Before you move on, Fred, I just wanted to say, you need to tell our listeners, they need to be aware we have a concentrate that's coming out shortly.
Oh,
in another couple of weeks.
Okay. Right? And okay, we do have a concentrate. I'm following instructions here, folks. We have made this promise long ago. We're going to be coming out with a new product, and it's finally on its way. It's a concentrate. And so as soon as it's done, we're just waiting for the labels. As soon as it's done, we're going to could you, and as soon as it's done, we're going to have it available for you. This is a live broadcast, but if you want to see who the faces are behind the voices, certainly you can check us out on YouTube, like, subscribe. What else? What can else thing to do?
Well, on YouTube, it's just Liquid Green Health Show.
Yeah, just type in the Liquid Green Health Show, and you're going to find us there. But like and subscribe and make your comments, and give us that boost. Also, you'll be able to see us on Facebook. That's at Facebook, Liquid Green Products Inc., and you'll be seeing us live there as well. During this broadcast, feel free also to write us at liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. Please let us know where you're listening from. We love to have your questions and your comments. That keeps us going. So please let us know where you're listening from. Like all our broadcasts, today's broadcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. It's designed to stimulate the mind and help bring us one step closer to living a healthier lifestyle. Now, last week we had fun. Had a wonderful guest last week. Very informative, lots of information packed into an hour. And this week is going to be the same because we have decided to bring the same guest back. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Clyde Harris from Green World. And he's going to be talking, we are going to be continuing that conversation with detoxification and cleansing.
But Clyde, before we start with the questions and before we get into the meat of it, just in case we have people, new listeners, which we every single week since we've started, we add at least 80 to 100 new listeners. So some people will not have heard you last week. Could you tell us a little about yourself so that they know who you're listening to? I want to sign up for your tennis lessons in the new year. All right. So we know you're a professional tennis coach. I just know you as a man full of energy and vibrations, right?
And anything you want to know about the body, right? In terms of its structure and nutritional content, how to keep the body functioning properly. This is the person you need to talk to.
So just tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah. If you can unmute your mic.
So I got to where I am. Matter of fact, Fred met one of the guys this week that he spoke with, who knew me from way back, first starting off in business. So I was dealing with it. Then playing sports and learning more about the body. You have to learn the anatomy and everything in the body. You have to, as you play sports, and I got more into health and wellness. So this is where I'm at. Green World is only a culmination of many things.
Great.
Studying health and wellness, studying the body, and working with a lot of outstanding people. I worked with Dr. Nye. He came to Green World actually. I met Dr. Olson. He's a top guy at UFT, through Professor McConney, who brought Dr. Warner. So it's a combination of many different things, health professions, and that got me to where I am.
Okay.
Also, as I told Fred, throughout my whole life, I've never been to use medication more than 2 or 3 times in my life. So basically medication free. I'm not a fan of synthetic drugs.
That's actually quite awesome. But you know, you're with a company, you don't like synthetic drugs, but
Right.
they're a pharmaceutical company. Could you explain the dichotomy? Because people associate pharmaceuticals with the synthetic drugs. How is it that Green World is a pharmaceutical, but they're working with natural products?
Right. So pharmaceutical, that's where we saw the evolution of this sports way back from in the 70s. That's why Spirulina emerged with new research, new science with Dr. So it's an evolution of this industry leading to the advent of computer, leading to in the 90s, more people looking for herbs and not mushroom, and they were living longer. Matter of fact, let me just give you some background as you read the book, The Wellness Revolution. The main collapse of this sickness, the Fortune 500 company was due to the fact that people were living longer. And it was dwindling into the profits of the Fortune 500 companies. You know, they normally just, they used to write, you would live up to 70, 75.
65,
so they projected that this is how they would maintain your family up to that age. But people were living longer, so they started to collapse, leading to the 2008 collapse.
But they were costing them more.
It was costing them more.
Right.
And so it's an evolution of this industry. In the 90s, when I came to Canada, I was through the, again, connect my, you know, where you're searching, you find, right?
Right.
I connected to a big company where the guy bought the secrets of the emperor's line from the government of China. He paid $5 billion. Okay. So he was the second richest man in China. And then in the early 2000, the guy interviewed a series of medical practitioners who were into wellness, and they named the marketing person. Okay. And then the guys rebelled because they were doctors and all, like Dr. Ilona Ross. There was a series of people with big networks across Canada, United States with this company.
Okay.
So the daughter went on to give me the secrets of the Empress of China's, the books, all the collection of books that I had from her. That's where you saw me with that green book.
And you are now sharing with us, so that's awesome.
I'm sharing some of it, and even got some of it, some even more pertinent book moving into this industry. So I've been an advocate for this. 2005, I was the youngest on a national committee with a guy, a prominent lawyer that was exporting $8 million of seal oil to Asian Pacific country, but we couldn't get it into Canada. We couldn't get it into the market here in Canada. So we created a committee we had an office trying to get big farmers to be involved in this product. There's studies on this product I still have to give you. 2003, let me just give you an article. 2003 studies on kids that is dyslexic, ADHD, and asthmatic in England. They give them fish oil. Fish oil is more prevalent around the world. It's more readily available.
Yes.
And they give them 3 grams a day, the kid that had problems with ADHD, this reading and cognitive skills. And after 20 days, those kids' reading and spelling went up by 70%.
Wow.
So Dr. Cosmos Ho did a lot of extensive studies on seal oil, and we found out it's the main composition of every cell is a fatty acid,
Yes,
which is the
because
cell membrane.
the cell membranes, right,
Mhm.
right. And thanks to the book, I'm going to show folks. This one was from 1920. It's the omega-3 connection. And I'm reading this almost as if it's a novel. It is that interesting. And I know, this was some time ago and the research continues.
But let me just give you, before you continue with that book,
Uh-huh.
that book, they took off Dr. Cosmos Ho book. He's an oceanographer from Canada.
Mhm.
Who did the most. He was looking for one culture, ethnic group that had the lowest levels of stroke or cerebrovascular or cardiovascular illness.
Let me guess,
And
was that the Inuits?
Inuits, the
Okay.
Inuits. He's the original.
Right.
And they actually, that book, it's all about marketing. They took off Dr. Cosmos' whole book, which was more extensive. Only few people had it. I had one. I was waterlogged. It was probably, but very expensive book, big, thick novel.
Oh.
And they took that off. And then this guy, Steve Stull, he's from the psychopharmaceutical department of Harvard University. He talks about mental health issue with the main thing. Also, I have a 400-page article, as I educated a lot of professors. One of them went and got from an archive from the university. $5 million was given to the outgoing chancellor of Europe University to study the leading cause of mental health and violence in kids. I have the 400-page article.
And it's this.
And the same thing that he talked, omega-3 was missing from the diet.
Yes.
Our diet is changed.
You know what? We're going to get into that in a little bit more details.
Mhm.
But last week, we were talking about the whole idea of cleansing and detoxing our body and why it is so important that we do that. And we mentioned, can you just remind us of the 5 organs, the 5 major systems within our body that we use to detox, starting with
So we need the liver.
The liver.
We need the kidney.
Mhm.
We need the lymphatic glands,
Mhm.
the colon, and the skin,
Right.
which is the largest organ in the body.
Great. So we spent quite a bit of time on the kidney, on the talking about the liver, from the way in which it actually removes the impurities and gets rid of it, right? So we want to continue with spending a little bit more time on the kidneys. And I know we thank you again for the presentation that you sent us, because now we can sound more intelligent based on your work, right? But
Well, based on the company work, I've just been involved for 10 years with this.
Okay.
A lot of people around me. Yeah.
It worked exactly. I say you, but as the representative, right?
Mhm.
You said the kidneys, as we know, it filters about 32 to 48 gallons of blood. It filters and waste from our bodies. What time period is that? Is that in a day or in a few hours?
That is it is 25 liters per minute.
That's per minute.
Wow.
Yes.
25 liters a minute?
Per minute. It's filtering many, many toxins. It's filtering the blood plasma, which is the tissue fluid from the lymphatic glands.
Mhm.
Its tissue is filtering enzymes. We need enzymatic, even when we move, we creating energy,
Right.
equilibrium, right? Metabolism, we metabolizing.
Right.
So that's why you come to the point of creatine we're going to talk about today, and some other things you've asked me.
Right.
So it's constantly filtering hormones. Hormones, for example, I'm an athlete, I'm moving. If I don't have the right type of hormones, I'm going to explain some of it as I go along, then so constantly the brain's triggering this hormones that is secreted to distance organs directly into the bloodstream.
So we talk about creatinine as one of them. And I hear about creatinine. I know sometimes our levels are high, and I really don't know what it is. Could you explain what is creatinine to our audience?
So let me use an example.
Okay.
When Arlene came to me with a lot, and she was first, remember she had problem with swelling and all that. That's one of the things.
Have to be careful of not calling.
Yeah.
Last names.
Yeah. When the person came to me, I use an anonymous. One person came to me. The person had high levels of creatine. Basically, if you're doing any physical activity, creatine is a result of breakdown of muscle fibers.
Okay.
Right?
So that's what it is.
Any protein metabolism, you're metabolizing all the time. You have amino acids, which is the building block of the body. So protein metabolizing all the time. Like later on, I'll tell you some of them. So you have protein, 1/3 of the body's protein composition, which is glycine chain. But proteins are being broken down all the time. If you're physically active, even you're always breaking down muscle fiber. So creatine is, as a result, is that waste.
So that's a good thing though, because when we exercise, the whole idea is to break down the muscle and then to rebuild it with new cells, correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
You're constantly breaking down muscle because again, let's look at one aspect. Liver, the cell needs glucose for energy. But if you have a healthy liver, it would convert glucose into glycogen for reconversion when you do not have enough glucose in the blood. So you're always constantly metabolizing.
Okay, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, it seems as though the creatinine levels in Black people tend to be higher. Why is that so?
That's a very good question. Because a lot of time our diet is the most important thing. And that leads to we start having problems with the kidney. Okay. Creatine level, kidney has to filter creatine levels. So if the kidney you start having some form of kidney failure, you would have high levels of creatine.
Okay.
Now, I've heard people say that once you have the kidney disease, it's not reversible, but I don't think that's true. What's your take on that? If you start having kidney issues, you definitely can reverse. Can you go back to a normal kidney once you start?
All right. So old TV, Western TV tells you this is like to me, I call it basically Western TV tells you a lot of stuff, but you must remember a kidney is a motor organ. All motor organs, if first the organ has cells, then you have tissue, then you have an organ. If you can regenerate new cells or repair new cells, you can regenerate the organ, which is a motor organ.
Okay.
That's why there's a lot of, if you go to traditional Chinese videos, you will see that's why we get in new training from what product is good for the kidney, what product can regenerate new cells in the kidney.
Okay.
And repair. That's in the anabolic state. That's why when we're younger, we regenerating and repairing all the time. So we have healthier.
I know you mentioned, sorry, about regenerating cells. I'm going to share a very quick story off topic. Our daughter, Kira, when she was 3 years old, she actually slammed her finger in the door, the garage door, and the tip of it was totally amputated. And, you know, as parents, 3-year-old, we were like hysteric. Frederick grabbed this little piece of finger and we put it in some water.
Yeah.
No, we just took it, wrapped it up and took it to the hospital. And while we were at a Scarborough hospital, we actually phoned sick kids and they said, let the staff know to put it on ice.
Right.
The doctor came about an hour later. I swear, no word of a lie. he took the little piece of finger and stuck it on her
And taped it
finger,
up.
put a band-aid on it, and sent us home.
Yeah.
And that finger, it's like a lizard. It just regenerated. So we hear what you're saying, you know.
Yeah.
Amazing. So does this happen with most of the body, like the internal organs? The stem cells?
Yes, of course, most of the body. That's where we are learning what food is good for the body.
Mhm.
What there's phytochemicals and phytonutrients. We need nutrients, micronutrients, which act as catalysts. But we also need what is in certain products that helps to regenerate as medicine for the body.
Right. Just before we leave the kidneys, there's also something, the phenol waste. I'm asking because I'm not sure what is that. I know about uric acid and what that is, but I'm not sure what phenol waste is.
So phenol waste can be a combination of many things, the food we eat and our environment.
Okay.
Recently, I tested somebody. Remember, I wrote in my speech, if you read it, hydrogen and oxygen are two distinct and separate elements, but it comes together to form water, right?
Right.
So you have a combination of hydrogen, nitrogen from break gases. For example, you got urea, nitrogen is a gas which is a waste from the breakdown of protein in the liver. That has to be filtered by the liver, kidney.
Okay.
So they become hazardous waste, right?
Okay.
It's like ammonia. The trash comes from the breakdown of foods, physical breakdown of food. That is ammonia. That's why when your gut health is bad, you have the feces smelling. When you go to the washroom, it smells.
Yes.
For me, mine doesn't smell.
Okay. Why is that? Because you don't eat meat?
Because I have a good diet,
Okay.
and I have more alkaline body, and your waste is not supposed to smell.
So you hear that, Mr. Cox?
Well, why are you pointing at me?
That is a sign of pathogenic problems that can eventually damage the gut lining.
Yes.
And then it leads to damage to the colon. That's why I sent you the
which is what we're coming into next, the colon. But go ahead.
I want to ask the question about the well, he basically answered my first question was nutrition is important.
Yes.
Right. But coming to the colon, we know that the colon is the waste system of the human body.
It's the sewage, right?
Right.
It's a dump.
But apart from that, what is the major function of the colon, and how should we take care of our intestines?
Yeah. Before you answer that, Clyde, I look at rich people. I'm talking about rich, movie star rich, right? You hear about these movie stars dying of colon cancer
and stuff like
right?
that. Yeah.
And you figure, okay, these people have the money to take care of their health. What is it that they don't know why so many of them fall prey to the colon?
They don't know the right nutrition.
Right?
The answer is clearly. So now, when in the jejunum, the food is broken down, right? By gastric juices. And you have 3 enzymatic. For example, you have lipids that break down protein, amylase that breaks down carbohydrates, etc., etc. And then it's now the waste from that is a solid, it's unused. That's why we need certain. That is sent to the colon to be secreted as feces.
Right. So
any dead debris, even from the breaking down of food, dead bacteria is pathogenic. Food has because if you eat the right food has the right enzymes and all to break down. So all of this becomes dead. It becomes waste. Colon has to excrete it.
Yeah.
And it must, if for example, people have a long transit point, you can shift your pH levels back into acidic because our body main composition from the ileum to which is the descending part of the small intestine to the colon is 70% of the immunity.
Okay.
70%?
70% is immunity, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Your immune system is a combination of blood and tissue fluid, which is your lymphatic glands, right? If you get a burn, you see that thing popping up.
Oh, yes.
The blood plasma, right? So in the condom of the stomach is the spleen.
Mhm.
When a kid is, let's say on the 12th,
Yeah.
and they do not have an immune system, the cortex of it descends to the thymus. That's what we call the thymus, is the main organ of immunity. It descends into the spleen and the tissue fluid, which is the white blood cells in the lymphonoids, which is producing the lymphonoids. But there's a clustering of between the age of 15 to 25 lymphonoodles, which could comprise from 240 at maximum noodles. The primary age between 15 and 25, you have this clustering of noodles. Main composition is in the gut.
Okay. And again, we're talking about, before we go back to the stomach, I wanted to get your take on colonics, because we used to do it. We don't anymore.
A lot of people use that for detoxification.
Right. And we used to go frequently enough. And a holistic practitioner said, not the best idea. But then there is colonics and there is colonoscopy, which is the medical procedure that, you know, the government is actually mandating that after a certain age, we should do that. So could you tell us the difference between colonics and why we should or shouldn't, and why we absolutely should, if that's what you think, take a colonics, a colonoscopy?
Yeah, and after that.
So I had a friend, he actually had a clinic on Victoria Park. His wife, apparently, she was one of the most brilliant of all. I could tell you her name, is my personal friend.
Okay.
Her husband used to do colonoscopy.
Like colonics?
Yes, colonoscopy.
Okay.
And we're just taking out the dead bacteria, the feces that gonna go into the lining of the gut and now cause major problems. It could rupture it. Because if you got something, our body again is good and bad bacteria, right? So now if you shift into bad, the feces stay too long in the colon, it gets into the tissue and cause major problems to the tissue. That's how people get bleeding.
That's what killed Elvis, right?
Yeah. Right. And if we have a recent case of someone of the women told me, why am I bleeding? I said, then you got to go on a detox or start taking intestinal cleansing tea, because you want to shift the soil. It's a soil. Basically, put it as a soil.
Right.
So it could get into the lining and cause problem with the tissue now, the gut mucosa. Okay. It gets right into it. So that's where they use a liquid, right, to go and try to flush, but it's harsh. Did it shift anything? All they're doing is to put in a plaster and they're taking out the excessive feces that is now in the lining of the gut. That is hard to be removed from just regular bowel movement.
Okay, but the colonoscopy is when the doctors insert the camera to check if you have polyps, etc. Right. That way, the precursor, they can tell if you have anything that's going to become cancerous. Well,
they're going to see many different things happen in the body because now toxicity level, they can see us. That's exactly what they do.
Okay.
Okay, with that, let's get to some email. We have quite a few. Here's we got one. This came in before the show started. This is from Edward. And Edward says, looking forward to part 2 today. So Edward, thank you for that. And I hope you're enjoying the show. Here we have another one from David. Excited about today's show. I always learn so much from it. Amazing. Don wrote in, and Don says, your guests are always amazing. Are you on TV anywhere? Well, you know, we were just talking about that prior to the show. So you need to look out for that. That is something down the tube. But we're not on TV. You can always see us on YouTube.
and Facebook,
just type in Liquid Green Health Show and you can find us on YouTube. Then Karen wrote in, and Karen said, I love that Liquid Green show. I have 3 of us that will be listening today. Thank you, and thank you very much. And that's what happens, you know. We have listeners that may have 3, 4, sometimes as many as 30 that's listening in an office. So the numbers, you know, count as 1, but we know there are multiple listeners. And so thank you for that. Hannah says, hello, Fred and Janet. Happy Sunday. Same to you, Hannah. I'm in Buffalo, New York, and she sent us a picture. Wow. She has beer in the snow.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's the front door?
That looks like the back door to the deck.
Yeah, right. That's the back door to the deck, and it's loaded with snow
and with some Coors Light
Light and stuff there. Okay, all right.
So things are not all that bad in Buffalo, right?
Right.
Talk about using a situation,
using nature
to make a good opportunity, right?
Yeah. Here's one from Karen, and Karen says, "Hi to Fred and Janet Cox. So glad your guest is on again today. I learned a lot from him. Very interesting. Thank you, Karen." And I'm going to read one more before we continue. This one is from Anne and says, "Hi, Janet and Fred. Does your guest have a website? Thank you. Yes, and we'll give you that a little later."
Well, it's actually how do they get it?
Yeah. So we'll announce that a bit later in the show. Okay. Right. All right. Go ahead.
So where were we? We were talking about colon,
yeah,
and the colonoscopy. Now, look at it. We're almost halfway through already. Clyde, you know how quickly things go. So we're going to move on with last week. We touched on the importance, and you mentioned it already a little bit, the lymphatic system, right? And the skin as they relate to the process of detoxification. And you just gave us the recap on how the lymph system works. And but I was looking at a list that you had sent. And there were some signs that we can tell that our lymph system is being overloaded, right? And one of them I have, and I'm not sure, it's the tags, you know, the little warts on your face. And
right.
Is that really true? I thought that was hereditary.
It is true. How many people have treated for eczema? Recently, even at the airport, one girl said she went to 4 dermatologists and nothing was done. So now, under the skin now is the tissue fluid. This is the sign, this is epithelial cells, right? And if you have clogged up, for example, obesity is a sign of, that's why they say a compromised immune system. Let's look at the one aspect, which you have lymphedema. You got blockages of this drainage system of the body. So it's a drain, right? It's blocked.
Yeah.
There are certain things that goes into the drain like a vacuum to clean it, or other organisms like the macrophages. They keep it clean. So if you have, the doctor, they tell you obesity is a compromised immune system. What's a compromised immune system? It means your drain is blocked. Let's say this is a knot in the drain. That's the lymph nodes, right? That is what produces the T cell, like your tonsils, your adenoids, your spleen. There you can feel under the breast. Those are lumps. This is drained breast fibrocytic activity. You can feel drains. This is all where the lymphatic glands runs to. So if you have too much of, you're over 25 BMI, body mass index. This is the dermis, epidermis, then on this is the dermis, then on this is the subcutaneous tissue or the hypodermis. That's where lymphatic glands, a series of processes run through, right? And if it's blocked, you have say the drainage system in the body.
Okay.
Right. That's where the white blood cells are produced.
Okay. And it mentions the even things like arthritis. And if your skin becomes dry and wrinkled, that these are some of the symptoms that you are compromised.
Yeah, swelling of the ankles. How many people come to me and they're the first day I see all this, because the channel of all this is channels that impacts the kidney. So we now know that the kidney now that has to filter all this is also impacting the drainage system in the body. Okay. Because you got swelling in the ankles. You don't get problems with your eyes. Eyes at the back of the lens of the eyes. 1/3 is at the front of the lens as the aqueous humor. This has, so if they have lymphatic glands and all that, the left retina is the membrane. And inside of that now is that all the processes behind this 4/5 of the processes, blood vessels as well as that's where we get things with swelling of the eyes, sign of lymphatic.
Right, and underneath the eyes as well. Okay.
Fibromyalgia. How many people are here coming with pain in the muscles and joints? That's a sign again of lymphatic problem, congestion. Right?
So fibromyalgia, that's a big one. Like, it's one of those things that people don't even know how they don't understand what it is. And
yeah, you see so many athletes, they get over a period of time, they get this problem because the drainage, something is blocked. When we break down when we break down cells from exercising, there's a pros and cons in exercise. Lactic acid accumulates, and lactic acid leads to chronic fatigue.
And
lactic acid, that's why when we exercise, we see sweat. The sweat is oily, that's lymph, and it's salty.
Yeah.
Right? So the skin plays it, yeah.
If that acid is not going somewhere,
right,
it backs up and it causes, an overflow in the body.
And then the lymphatic gland stress is very critical. The lymphatic gland doesn't work in a pumping structure. The villi in the gut is very critical from compression. Lymphatic glands, 2 ends of the lymph nodes compresses to cause the activity. So lymphatic glands don't work like a normal heart beats and pumps blood around the system. Lymphatic glands works with a compression system. Even the gut is the main part, the villi.
Okay. Wow. Now I'm gonna tell everyone I started the detox that Frederick messed up a few weeks ago by overdosing on chitosan. And I started it this week and I'm into my 4th day. But I'm gonna be quite honest, Clyde. I went out yesterday. We had a women's conference. That's where we got this fantastic sorrel drink, right? I'll give her a plug. It's Sweetie's Christmas sorrel. And we're going to be talking about some of the healthy drinks later. But I missed a day of my cleanse. But I don't feel awful because I figure I'll just add another day, right? I missed a day. Not the end of the world. I love cake. I had 3 slices of cake. But I know what to do, so I'm going to continue. What steps do you recommend for the average person? They want to start their detox, right?
They want to start the detox.
They want to start their detox. What should they be? There's something there you mentioned, the outside forces, the use of aluminum pans. There's so many things, the lead poisoning. Some of those things we really need to try and stop doing those things. Can you talk a little bit about those issues?
Yeah, so let me use mercury first, because I got mercury poisoning.
Oh, wow.
I ate fish and it's bio-magnified by mercury. You know that, right? The fish doesn't have a filter. So the fish, the seal has a filter. The fish, if they're in toxic environment, we are industrial country, they dump waste, right? It does a lot of industrial waste is dumped into the water. And then we drink that water. The water goes to recycle. Even your water from your washroom is recycled. People don't know that water from washing your clothes is recycled.
Yes.
The water itself, I don't like water. I don't like it. We need 60% water, but I don't drink pipe water. Because if you boil it, you're still not getting out the heavy metal like lead.
No.
Right? So, and you see the government trying to change it around the place, because what's the biggest concern of the government? Many people suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's, all this has an effect. They all have an effect on the system in the body.
Right.
Right. So I had mercury poisoning. I was craving sushi. I used to eat a lot of it. I haven't eaten sushi since then. New Year's Day, I went out to get sushi, and I went to a fast food place. I always eat in a good restaurant. And apparently it was a fast food place on Dundas and Young Street. Luckily, I took it home. I took it home around 11 o'clock in the night, was the day before the New Year's, and I ate it. Less than 2 minutes after, less than a minute, I started to lose my balance. That's a sign of mercury poisoning. I lost my main, it started to affect my nerve, my peripheral nervous system. And then, so I started losing my balance, and in a short time, less than 2 minutes after, I started shaking like a fish. I started shaking, it's unbelievable. So I knew what products to go and get. If I had called the hospital, they might give me electrolytes, which has an impact on the body, right? The heart and so. So I drank certain teas. I lie down in my couch. I couldn't even get to my bed. I lie down in my couch, and then I start drinking certain teas and using certain products. And for 16 days, I showed the other people, my fingers and everything was all black. So it took me basically 16 days to get this mercury poison out of the body.
Wow.
We don't realize that when we use lead, for example, lead is in we go in the summer, we do barbecues. So lead, for example, is in your barbecue. You see it here, the barbecue. Lead is basically in everything. I tested a woman recently, and she had high levels of lead. I asked her if she's using medication, because she said no. Then I asked her, the next thing I asked her, if she's exposed to any cleaning stuff. She said, yes, I'm a cleaner. That gas has an impact on us. We have to breathe in something. We breathe in that gas, and that gas liquidates, right? So that gas was in the cleaning stuff that we have. We got to be aware of that. A lot of cleaning stuff, that gas leads to problems with the body.
So Clyde, this is where we have to give ourselves a plug. Frederick, you want to do the liquid green plug?
And I'm glad that you mentioned the cleaning stuff, because our products are 100% carcinogen free.
And they will.
And as well, it is non-toxic. So you don't have to worry about inhaling anything, because it's fragrance free as well. And as you said, many of the cleaning products that are currently on the market are loaded with toxins. No matter how they twist it, no matter what they call it, it is made with heavily petroleum, petrochemicals, which is loaded with other lead and stuff like that. So,
and I like you said it, your products, it's carcinogen free, because those are all the accumulative effects of cancer.
Yeah.
Right? So toxins in the body, excessive amount of toxins that cannot be removed from the body. So source of lead is the piping.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like water. That's why we don't have to put chlorine in the water. Chlorine is another deadly stuff, right? I don't like, that's why I like natural, going to natural, like with Fred talking. I love Fred, you should use that word more and more. Carcinogen, because 1 every 2 Canadian next 2 to 5 years is going to be diagnosed with cancer. 1 every 2. That's a
statistical fact.
Not if they keep listening to the Liquid Green Health Show.
One of the things that you mentioned, the pipes in Toronto, the water pipes, they're changing them now, but there's still a lot of areas in Toronto that have pipes that are over 50, 60 years old. And people are still drinking water from those pipes. So could you imagine the amount of lead and toxicity that they're putting into their system.
Okay. So,
And then let me continue that point to lead, because lead is a deadly thing. You see women miscarriaging, women premature babies, low birth rate. You've seen it all the time. Mortality rate of babies. You see, lead damages main organ, liver. Liver has the filter. And lead is a very it's a very dense mineral. It also affects neurotransmitters. I'm doing this for 10 years, and when I see people lead levels are high, I already know memory levels. Because think about lead in the circulatory system. It leads to the toxicity of the circulatory system, which is blood viscosity. Lead is one of the main thing.
Clyde, I know when we came in as to see you as a practitioner, as a consultant, because that's a part of your business, we were put on a machine. And could you tell our listeners, because you seem to you talk about the people you've met, the people you've seen. Some of them, because you've been doing this for so long, you can actually look at some people, hear what they say, and you can basically, like a doctor would predict, come up with some form of a diagnosis.
No.
What is the machine? Sorry, go ahead.
Before he answers the question, let me just give our station a plug. Folks, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, or you may have joined us late, you're listening to the Liquid Grain Health Show on Reality Radio 101. Our guest today is Clyde Harris. He's not a doctor, neither are us. Sorry, neither.
Not Toys R Us.
Did I say us? Yes. Neither are we. But we are. Clyde, Mr. Harris is a health practitioner. He's with a company called Green World.
Great Green World.
Great Green World. And we are tapping into his knowledge and his expertise, and he's given us a lesson on the importance of cleansing and detoxifying the body today. Yeah. All right. So there you go.
So let me go back into this machine. I would go back into a little history of this machine. In
What's
2000,
what's
the machine
named the
called?
quantum resonance analyzer.
Quantum resonance analyzer.
A QRA machine.
Yeah. So I'll give you a history of this machine. There was a professor teaching at UFT in Scarborough when I was running some programs in the Scarborough campus there.
Lord, Clyde, you have about 2 minutes to talk about this because we have like less than 10 minutes left on the show.
All right.
So give us the condensed version.
All right. And so she was teaching the new science in medicine, but in 2005, she was fired. It was in the Metro 24 over talking about this machine.
Okay.
Right. So let me tell you what the quantum resonance analyzer is. The quantum resonance analyzer is a unique state-of-the-art bioenergetic and biochemical analysis system, which provides a representation of the health, illness state of the patient. It uses scalar waves, which are similar to all cells communication. So cells, different within the body concerning its function. This makes it possible for it to obtain information about stress, unbalance, shortages, and surpluses of the biochemical component supplied of any of your body systems.
Right. Yeah.
The analyzer device collects information from patient's body through an electrode in only 90 seconds.
Wow.
Measuring more than 250 parameters relating to gastrointestinal function, cardiovascular function, digestive system function, liver function, large intestine, gallbladder, etc.
Great.
So in short then, basically the machine communicates with the cells on an electronic wave. Because everything is energy, everything is electronic communication from cell back to machine,
Yeah.
and it's able to analyze it accurately because it speaks the language.
Right. We can speak to it because both of us were put on this machine,
Yeah.
and the results, like you were able to
It was
tell
amazing.
me, I can
Yeah.
talk about myself, about the issues with, thyroid, the weight. I always complain about the belly fat. No matter how much weight I lose, still that belly fat is there. And you were able to say some things which, just talking to me, I'm trying to contradict you. And you're saying, doesn't matter what you say, how you feel, here it is in plain text.
Yeah.
This is what is happening, and this is what you need to adjust it, to adjust your situation.
Right.
So we're going to come back and spend time because we won't do it justice.
Right.
And I really want to let people know, just a minute, Frederick, that we're putting the detox, the 7-day detox, we're going to be putting it on our website.
Yes.
And since you spoke last week, Clyde, we have had several people that have called in, and they've ordered the cleanse, right? And I just always tell them, please don't take too much Cheeto. But because it's going to be there, people are going to be talking to us about it. Could we wrap up by you telling us about the 7-day detox?
We have just about a minute and a half for that.
So let me see if I can summarize this very quickly.
Sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the 7-day detox basically tries to bring the body back into an alkaline state of above 7.5, right? So the Chitosan, for example, which is a 2,000-year 500 product, is also sold on Amazon.com, like the 2,500. The chi from the crab, 2,500 years. The fiber from the crab or the lobster clings on to heavy metal and blood lipid, which is that's what it does. So it's known for fat reduction, fat absorption. But we've modified from a scientific point of view. We study that all systems are interrelated, they're no separate.
Right.
So let me just share with 2 organs with us. We integrate it with bamboo vinegar, which flushes the organ, the circulatory system. It really flushes the system. We integrate it with vitamin C, making it a homeostasis. It repairs the organ, bringing it back into equilibrium. So if you got problems with liver enzymes to detoxification, if depleted, it activates that detoxification mechanism, right? For the kidney, it is, I like to say it is, if it's used well, for people who are on dialysis, it binds all toxin into the kidney in one, and it blows up into the colon. We add through a mechanism, negative ions, which attract all the things that is bad, like in this environment. Your excess heavy metal, your excess blood glucose, all the excess weight, it blows up. That's why when you go to the washroom, it collects and it starts repairing and cleaning the colon from pathogenic. So it brings it back into normal state.
Balance.
So it's almost like a magnet that puts all these things
together. It's the science. That's what we get.
So what we're going to do, because we don't have time, we've run out.
But I just want to add one more product.
Sure.
The reason why we add intestinal cleansing tea is that your body is not breaking down food. The villi is blockage in the gut. And so you think that's why a lot of people get big guts. Bloat, big guts mean they're not breaking down the food in this. So the Chitosan, the intestinal cleansing tea is like a soil. Rain could penetrate permeability. It has remnants of nutrients from spirulina. So you're getting all the nutrients from spirulina, as well as it's also acting as a fiber to flush the gut.
Okay. So what we're going to do, We're going to put the cleanse on the website.
Yes.
Under the Liquid Green Health Show, that's where they can find it.
Yeah.
Right?
They go to liquidgreenproducts.com, go to the health show, click on health products and scroll down. You're going to see supplements and teas. Click into that and it's going to give you all the products.
Yes, but we're going to do something
It's not there
special
as
for
yet.
the cleanse.
Yes.
So that people can go, they can look at it, and then they will see the various products because it involves spirulina, harp seal oil, and the liquid calcium. And then they'll be able to go and check exactly what that does.
And the blueberry
So we
super nutrition, don't forget it. It's very powerful. It's a
That's
probiotic.
correct. I love it.
It's powerful.
It's
Yeah.
a wonderful cleanse, and I can tell you that it did wonders for me. Yes, I did take too much of the chitosan. You
But
should
it
not
works.
be on it for more than 7 days. I was on it for 3 weeks, folks. So I am super clean.
So Gary, as you said before the show, we're going to volunteer to be those people who live to be 125, right?
150.
At least.
150, right?
I just give them
But
the
it's-
books. It's easy to lift 150 now with
Okay.
all the studies.
It's a
We-
wonderful 7-day detox
Frederick, you
protocol.
have another email. You have to get that one in.
Oh, this
before
one
the
is
end
from
of- from
Ken.
Ken.
And Ken says, Fred, I heard some of the antiquated water distribution pipes in Toronto are over 100 years old. It is so gross. That is why I prefer alcohol. Right? Well, once you take the alcohol, we have products that we can help you to, break down the alcohol very
Because
quickly.
if you remember, Clyde, that's one of the first questions I asked you. I said, I'm not willing to give up my red or my white wine
You
because I
shouldn't.
enjoy it.
Yes.
And then you said you don't have to, because we're going to end with that, because
You could drink Canadoma Plus before alcohol, and it stops the alcohol from damaging the liver. It converts it into carbon dioxide. I've
wow,
done it.
see?
Excellent.
This
And
show
that's
was
one-
worth that for
That's one
Ken.
of, right.
Ken, that's for you.
just heard that, right? Get some Ganadoma from Green World.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so-
our sorrel from
Tell them about the sorrel.
the
Where you got the
conference
sorrel
we had yesterday.
Yeah.
I
Donna
want some of
Savage-
that.
Yeah, we will. We're going to do shows on this, by the way.
Yeah.
But Donna Savage she was on our show before. She had a women's conference and she had a few vendors. It was awesome because it was from pain to pleasure, and just so many women sharing about the pain they had been through, right? So now when this is done, I'm going to go put a little Jamaican libation in my sorrel, and then I'm going to take my Guanoderma Plus.
And
Right?
folks, yeah, we're getting to the end of the show here. As usual, 1 hour is not long
so
enough,
fast.
right? It goes so quickly. We have our guest is loaded with information, and we have to find more time to bring him back again onto the show. This has been a wonderful 1 hour full of information.
Yeah.
What else can I say other than to say thank you so much, Clyde? You have graced our show with a lot of information, and I know our listeners are thankful for that. So with that, I would like to say thank you. And to end the show, I always like to say good health is central to human happiness and well-being. It contributes significantly to prosperity and wealth and even economic progress. As healthy individuals, we can be more productive and may even live a little bit longer. So until next Sunday, same time, same place, right here on Reality Radio 101. This is Janet and Fred saying, let's stay healthy.
And have a
And
wonderful
thanks, Fred
week.
and Janet, for what you all are doing, disseminating the information for the people that needs it. That's the most important thing.
Oh, you
to
know
get
what?
it out.
I need to say one thing. I know we hear the music, but I really meant to say this earlier. For our listeners, Green World is a networking company. So people will know of these products already, and you can get them from any of your friends, your usual trusted source. So go ahead and do that. But also, don't forget to check our website. as Frederick said.
Liquidgreenproducts.com,
All right.
health show. Scroll down, you'll find it. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. See you next week. Oh, and for those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving in the United States,
Oh, yeah.
happy Thanksgiving to you. We'll be hearing all of those good things when we get back next week. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.